Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Every Day is Friday, where we dive into the stories and experiences from people from all walks of life. I'm your host, and today, my guest, Carly, a branding and marketing strategist who helps businesses, coaches, and entrepreneurs discover the not-so-secret sauce to growing their brands. We're about to dive into her story, share some wisdom, and sit back, relax, and let's get into it. Yeah, thank you for being on the show today. And before we dive in, for the listeners who may not be familiar with your line of work yet, could you give us a quick rundown of who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so I am the owner and founder of Divergent Marketing and Branding. I'm out of Houston, Texas, but I work with clients literally all over the world. And I work with, like you said, small businesses, entrepreneurs, and coaches to demystify all of the noise in the marketing and branding realm, simplify their brands, clarify their brands, and create really powerful value propositions that help continue to drive their growth. So a lot of the services I do, my bread and butter are branding sessions to help people establish brands or start new companies. Or if it is an established brand, just get their momentum going, refresh their brand, make it more relevant and modern. And I also do, all the execution work that comes with that: websites, email marketing, funnels, content development, all of that kind of stuff as well. So a little bit of everything.
Now, Carly, it's always fascinating to hear the why behind someone's passion. Now, what inspired you to start helping businesses grow their brand?
So I spent the majority, almost 15 years, working for every industry you can imagine. I'm one of those weird people that went to school for what I do for a living, which never happens anymore, but I went to school for business and marketing and all that kind of stuff. So I came out of that and just got right into it. And for almost 15 years, I worked for corporate retailers, nonprofits, heavy civil construction, higher education, any industry. It could be from selling a property to a pen. I worked for them, and it was all in marketing and content development, copywriting, all of that kind of stuff. And at the very tail end of my career working for other people, I was working for a marketing agency, and it was not a good experience for me. An agency is like a whole other world. I was excited about jumping into agency life, thinking, okay, instead of working for one corporate giant, I can work for a bunch of smaller clients and really help them and really pass on my knowledge that I've learned over a decade and a half, because that's what I love to do. I love educating people. And when I went into an agency environment thinking, oh, I get to help a whole bunch of people at once, it was very much not the experience I was hoping for. It was, like people hiring low wage, like fresh out of college grads to do like template websites and cookie cutter campaigns. And they were overcharging their clients, vastly overcharging their clients. And it just like didn't feel right with me. But I loved my work and I loved working with people. So I was like, you know what, I can probably do this better and in a way that has integrity and actually does help people. So I quit on a whim, and I was just, the next day I was like, well, I guess I'll start calling everyone I know and seeing if anyone needs help. And the company, over the last 4 years, that's really how it started, was me just reaching out to people and saying, how can I serve you? How can I help you? And understanding that being a small business owner, marketing is my business, but surrounding myself in my network with other small businesses. You start a business, I'll go out on a limb and say most people start a business based on what they sell or what they offer. And that end product or service, that is why they want to be a business owner. They don't know how to do marketing. They don't know how to do sales. They don't know how to build a website. All they want is to get the thing that they love in front of people. So that is where I wanted to come in and say, hey, you don't have to spend hours on the internet taking a course, hiring a shady marketing agency. You don't need to do all that. Let me help you with that so you could just keep growing on your business and focusing on that one thing.
Now, why do you believe branding is a key to a business success?
Because the vast majority of business owners don't know anything about their brand. And I say that with love, but with tough love and a challenge, where if you put 10 business owners in a room and I said, in 30 seconds, tell me what you do and who you are and what problem you can solve for me, no one can, maybe one or two of them out of the 10 could do it in under 30 seconds and do it succinctly. And it's a skill to be able to talk about your brand and present your brand and think like your customer. But what happens is agents have a 20, 50 person marketing team that can nail down who they are, what they do, the problem they solve, their value proposition. They have a team of people doing that. If you're the business owner, the first thing you want to tell me is, well, I started this company and I named it after my grandma's dog because when I was growing up, it was really important to me. And these are the 17 services that I offer. And we have great customer service. And they go on and on and on, but they can't wrap their mind around the customer doesn't care. They don't care about all those emotional details that the business owner thinks are important, because they are important to them, but not to being able to sell what they offer. So understanding your brand in a way that is client or customer forward and not according to the business owner is a skill that you really, really have to polish. And I'm kind of that bully that goes into a branding session and I will tell a mother her baby's ugly. I will go in and say, stop talking about this in your brand. Stop talking about this in your company. Nobody cares. Let's figure out how to shift gears and talk about what your customer really cares about so that you could increase your sales.
No, I love how you put that. You got to understand what your customer wants out of everything you're doing. And why do you think that is, though? Why do you think that you're building a brand's loyalty for like long-term loyalty for a lot of the fan base they have?
I mean, that's what loyalty is built off of nowadays. Like we saw a massive, 10, 20, 30 years ago, you loved a brand and you stuck with it. And that was just what you are. I feel like the millennial generation is kind of like the end of the road of like, I wear Nikes to the gym. Every single year I buy a new pair of Nikes. I know what size I am. I know what color I like. It's more or less the same model. I buy it. I ship it to myself. I don't need to try it on. I've been wearing the same pair of gym shoes for 15 years. And similarly, like the baby boomer generation, it's even more so of like the clothes they like, the cars they like. It's like loyalty to a brand. You almost get into a habit of this has worked for me. I stick with them. I love them. Since the pandemic, especially, there is no brand loyalty. It is about fast fashion and what is on social media and what is flashy, who has the best ads, what the celebrities are wearing, because everyone's just scrolling on their phones. If they see someone else doing it, they want to try it. And I'm guilty of that too. I've tried, like skincare, kitchen gadgets, like all of these things that are shipped from overseas. And it's just like I try it once, I use it for a month and it breaks. And then I'm like, okay, well, that was a waste of money. But it's what we do and it's what the culture is now. The only way to establish brand loyalty anymore, you can't focus on what it is that you sell because 100 other people are producing that and they're producing it cheaper and they're getting celebrity endorsements and they're doing it better than you. The way that you keep people coming back is with a customer journey. And that is by hooking people, treating them well, feeding into their emotion and their needs and how they perceive themselves from the moment they see what you offer for the first time to the point of purchase, and then after the point of purchase, how you still continue to talk to them and value them and provide whatever afterwards. And that takes a lot of time and a lot of manpower and a lot of energy. And a lot of business owners, especially solopreneurs, don't have that time and energy and knowledge. So that's where they hire someone like me to do it for them. And they have this whole customer journey mapped out and a better customer experience that can increase that brand loyalty so they don't have to change anything about what they actually offer.
We've all been there. We've all bought something from overseas. If it's a t-shirt to a new pair of shoes, just because it's cheaper and it looks a little bit different. And We've all been there. And if branding was like a recipe, what would be like the key ingredients? And what if you happen to leave one of those out?
I think the key ingredient to a brand is knowing your value proposition, and it is narrowing it down. My company is 4 years old now, like my own baby, my branding company, and I tweak my value proposition like every couple months. I'm like, oh, I think I want to say it this way. It sounds a bit better. But understanding and being able to tell someone what you do, and not in a way that is you listing your services. You know, you gave me a little bit of an introduction. I gave myself a little bit of an introduction. And then I kind of paused and I mentioned my services after. But your value proposition is not you sitting there and listing out what you do and what your services are. Someone can go to your website and figure that out. Your value proposition is what gets them hooked so that they can take the next step forward and say, well, wait, tell me more. How do you do that? So the key to any brand, that secret ingredient, is I challenge people, and it's what I do in my branding sessions with clients, is we figure out, I'm sure you've heard before, a 30-second elevator pitch. It's like if you were trapped in an elevator with someone going up to the 50th floor for 30 seconds, you had 30 seconds, someone looked at you and said, hey, tell me what you do. You have to be able to acknowledge their problem, acknowledge their concern, tell them how you're going to solve it, make them feel like they're going to be a better person for working with you or buying what you have. And then the end of that conversation is, oh, well, tell me more. Or, oh, do you have a website? Or, oh, how can I work with you? So being able to have just a few sentences of that value proposition that is client focused is the deep bones of your brand. And not a lot of people can do that.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of companies try to be different just for the sake of it. I mean, what's one of the biggest mistakes businesses make when they're trying to stand out?
It probably is what you just said. It is when I ask a client, who's your target audience? And they're like, well, everyone can work with me. Everyone wants these shoes. And I'm like, no. Yes, anyone can buy your shoes and has access to your shoes, but you need to know who your ideal client is. And I get a lot of pushback on this, especially from, a lot of entrepreneurs that just have that ego and they think their product or their service or what they offer or their brand is revolutionary. And they're like, no, I don't want to niche down my brand. Anyone can benefit from this. I need to make sure everyone knows that they can have this. And I'm like, no, you have to tell me for your business who is the ideal person that you want to work with. And you only speak to them. And everyone else, they can think they're that person. They'll reach out to you. They'll contact you. But you can't work with everyone. You can't sell to everyone. And if you try to, that is the quickest way to make your brand murky, to blur that value proposition. Then you start listing services because you're trying to go all over the place and appeal to everyone. And it's like, no, you focus on one thing. The people that are going to buy from you are going to buy from you immediately, because that's when people start wasting money too, is the more people you try to appeal to, the more expensive it is and the more input you have to do to attract those people to your brand. If you know who you're talking to and you are clearly talking to them, it should take very little effort for them to buy from you.
Now, can you share a little bit of tips for the listeners that, like, for branding? I mean, so many branding rules seem to box businesses in. I mean, what are some like the rules that you love to break?
So I think that, just what we just talked about, like only talking to your target audience I almost feel like that is, like I said, I get a lot of pushback on that. And I would argue that saying no to clients that you don't want and customers that you don't want is beneficial to your business. You don't need to be yes to everyone. A huge controversy that I firmly believe in is the customer is not always right. We live in a culture now where you don't want to offend anyone. You don't want to step on anyone's toes. You want to make everything accessible and inclusive to everyone, which I get why. And that is not beneficial to your business. That is not going to help your business grow. And that is not going to create loyalty with your target audience if they feel like you're just opening your doors to everyone. So I really firmly believe that you figure out your brand up front. You figure out what you stand for, what you value. If you are DEI, great. If you are patriotic, great. If you are set on a luxury price point, great. If you are on a sliding pay scale, great. Whatever all of these different values that you can include in your brand are, stick to them and do not deviate just because the culture around you wants you to be inclusive of everyone, because what you stand for and the values of your brand are part of your brand identity.
No, I love that. Stick to your values and stick to your target audience. And now why do some brands naturally attract customers while like others struggle even when they have great products though?
I think it really is because they are not, if you are not selling, and I've had this happen to me many times over the last few years, is a business will hire a marketing person, whether it's me or someone else, and they will expect sales to come pouring through the door within a month. I have had people build facilities anticipating brand growth. This literally happened to me. A client built a 6-figure facility to put out her product because she was feeling this monumental, like, oh my gosh, if I build it, they will come. Like, I'm just going to blow up my business and I'm going to hire a marketing person, me, and the sales will come. She gave me maybe 60 days to have leads coming in and expected like that 6-figure facility to start being paid off. And marketing is not sales. The business owner, the people that, and again, this is talking from the scope of the people I work with, not big corporations, but as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a coach, you are the salesperson of your business. When you hire a marketing person, it is to help you clarify your brand. It is to build your digital infrastructure. It is to set your priorities, set your goals. It is to help you come up with a plan. A marketing person is not responsible for the leads of your business. The salespeople are. You as the business owner, as the face of your business are. A lot of businesses will be like, I hired a marketing person. I don't have to touch anything. And that's just not true. Unless you want the marketing person to have their face on all your social media channels, like be making the calls about the copy of your website, talking about your services, answering the phone and being part of the customer service. Unless you are hiring someone to run your business for you and you just step out completely, that is never going to happen. And I feel like that is why a lot of people are not experiencing the growth and the influx in sales that they maybe expect, is that they either don't have their entire team on board understanding their customer journey. Like, hey, how are we treating customers before, during, and after we work with them? Everyone should know that. Everyone should be on board with it. Everyone should talk about your company the same. But if you are the sole business owner, it is, okay, you either need to invest more into quality people that are going to help you grow behind the scenes, or you need to be prepared to take that on yourself, because as a small business, you are still the face. And it's a really dangerous and common misconception that, oh, I hired someone to do my website. I'm going to make up my income from last month. And it's like, no, that's not how it works. That's not sales.
Now, I'm going to speculate. I mean, a big part of businesses is having that emotional connection and trust. And how do you build that?
Any purchase decision is based on emotion. I don't care what anyone says. Like there's no such thing as like a necessity versus a like impulse emotional buy. I don't believe that. If you are in the grocery store and you have 2 different potatoes in your hands, maybe you choose the organic because you feel it's better for you or better for the planet versus the other potato. That's emotional. Maybe you're like, oh, well, this potato's cheaper and like money's tight this month. That's an emotion. That's fear of your finances. Every decision you could make, whether it's a car or a home or a sweater or a potato, it's emotional. So being able to understand your target demographics emotion from start to finish and how they perceive themselves is what is going to build trust, because consumers are selfish. You and I are selfish. We buy things because they make us feel good, whether it's for a minute or the lifetime of the product we're using. You work with a marketing person because you think they match your brand and your brand is your baby and you only want people touching your brand that are going to make it look good. That's emotion. You, throughout the customer journey, the way that you treat your customers, the way you talk to them, the way that you send them follow-up emails, the way that you notify them about sales, the way that you give them discounts, the way that you ask them for reviews, the way that you share their posts on social media, whatever it is all emotional. So playing into how other people see themselves and what they want to feel, like maybe they want to feel trendy, they want to feel luxurious, they want to feel like they have the best of the best, they want to look more expensive than their income actually allows them to live. All of that is about understanding emotionally what your customer or client wants and playing into that emotion. And they are going to trust you if you show them, hey, like, I know you want to look expensive. The way that I talk to you and email you and the visuals that I use and the way that I present my product to you, it all feels expensive. And I know that's what you want. So here it is. And then that's where the trust is built. They feel seen, they feel understood. And that's when a brand trusts you.
Yeah, you have to understand who's buying your products. And with how much branding advice is out there, I mean, what's one branding, what's a branding tactic that works like magic that every brand could use?
Just being clear and being simple. You don't need to buy course after course. You don't need to pour into ads. You don't need to, I'm going to relate it to dieting. Like, that's just something I feel like everyone and their mother has been on some kind of diet in their lifetime. Everyone knows that the basics to losing weight is eating healthy and exercising, period. Of course, there's a million other things that go into it, but eat healthy, exercise, you should lose weight. But the first thing that people do is they're Googling injections, they're Googling supplements, they're looking for a coach, they're looking for a seminar, they're trying to do a challenge. And all of these things, they stick to it for a few days, a few weeks, and then they fall off because they're complicated. They go from working out 0 times a week to working out 6 days a week. They go from eating whatever they want to being on a ridiculously strict diet that allows them to eat grass and water and a protein shake a day. Like, they go to extremes because they are desperate and they want immediate results and they see everyone else doing it, so they think that they should. All you have to do is eat healthy and exercise, period. And you need to do it consistently for a long time. Same thing in business. You don't need to pour $5,000 a month into Google ads. You don't need to hire a marketing manager, a social media person, an ad person, a videographer, coach. You don't need to do that. You don't need to take a course for $6,000. I had someone, transparently, I had a client, I was working with her she hired me to do a campaign for her. We weren't even done with the campaign. We were working together for 3 weeks and she called me. She's like, oh, well, I'm gonna take a course instead. Instead of the money I'm paying you, it's $6,000, but the woman that runs it is amazing. And you get like 10 times your leads as soon as you finish the course. And she just like let me go to take this course. And I stalk her social media. I stalk her business sometimes. Nothing has changed. It's the exact same thing and it's stagnant. And I'm like, so how'd that course go? And I guarantee you this person started taking this course that she paid $6,000 for and got busy and didn't finish it, or I don't know what happened. But You don't need the flashy things. You don't need the promises. You don't need all of this crazy stuff. You need to clarify your brand, make everything match your social media, your emails, your salespeople. If you have a brick and mortar store, your logo, everything needs to match. You need to get really, really clear about it, really consistent about it. And you need to talk about your business in that way over and over and over and over until that value proposition sticks. And that means, networking events, just supporting other local businesses, social media, whatever it is, how you're getting the word out. But simple, bones, basics. So many companies don't have that squared away, but they're grabbing at all of the other flashy things because they see other businesses doing it, and they don't stop to think, those businesses are about 5 years ahead of me. I should not be doing that right now.
No, get right to the meat and potatoes. And with AI and automation taking over nowadays, it's easy for brands to like lose that personal touch. I mean, I imagine like storytelling and being authentic is key here, but I mean, how do you make your brand feel more human in this digital world?
It's about, and this is really hard to do when you are in a digital realm of, especially if you have an e-commerce based business or you're like me. I have clients right now. Actually, that's a lie. I have one client in Texas. I'm located in Houston, Texas, but 99% of my clients are all over the country. I operate in a digital realm. All of my communications, all of my marketing is all digital. But you have to stay true to being yourself, and you have to almost like put blinders on to what everyone else is doing, or you are going to start gradually getting caught in that. I have seen so many people, especially coaches. I work with a lot of coaches, and they fall very quick. And this is not putting shade on my coaches. I love working with coaches. I think they have amazing energy, but they get sucked into their role models, their idols. A lot of them become coaches because they have a coach telling them that they should start coaching, but they get sucked into doing the events and doing the courses and doing the fancy videos and all of this stuff. And eventually it's like, hey, your brand looks nothing like what you started. Like, where did that line get crossed? And if they had just put blinders on and stayed true to what they set out to do and their mission and built around that, rather than listening to 10 other people who are not involved with their mission, they wouldn't have gotten all mucked up. When AI first became publicized, when like ChatGPT came out a couple years ago, I got real nervous, and I was kind of like against it at first, as I feel like a lot of creatives were, because I was like, how am I going to do this? All of my clients are going to go away. Like, this is 20 years of my life that I've dedicated to these skills, and now a machine is going to do it. But once I started embracing it, people pay for creatives, for marketing people, for branding people, because they don't have the time or the interest in learning how to do it. Yeah, they can go on to it. I just made a video on my own social media saying the branding sessions that I offer people that are a great investment, I don't teach you anything that you cannot get for free on the internet. It's just going to take you a day, 2 days, hours and hours, 12 hours, 100 hours. I don't know, whatever your skill level is. You're going to have to spend that time figuring out, tracking it down, putting it together in the sequence that I go through it with you, like asking yourself prompting questions that you don't even know what to ask yourself that I do. You can find it all for free. You don't have to pay me. But is your time as a business owner more valuable to pay me to do it with you in 4 hours? Or is it more valuable for you to go figure it out and save that money? Most of the time, people are going to pay for the direct results, the fast results, the clarification that is needed. So AI is a great tool. It is not a problem solver if you don't have the skills to back it up, especially ChatGPT. I feel like a lot of us, even if you're not in the marketing or branding realm right now, you can look at someone's social media caption and immediately know if it's AI generated because it just sounds like a robot. But I use ChatGPT all the time. and the prompts that you have to put into the machine, that is a whole new skill I learned in the last 3 years. And I'm grateful for it. I love it. I think it's so fun, but that's just another skill that you have to learn in order to use these tools that are made to make our lives easier. It doesn't mean it's brainless. It doesn't mean it's mindless. You still have to know how to do it.
Yeah, I mean, being very good at telling your story and putting your blinders on and not listening to the outside world like you're saying, and being authentic is key. But you also can use AI to, ask, put in a whole bunch of prompts and ask like, what is my goals here and stuff like that.
Yes.
And like things that, might just, you might not think of, but like you want to keep yourself inside the bumpers on the right path. And,
Yeah, it's a great tool. I mean, using these machines and these AI generators to just say like, hey, build me a template so that I could set goals for the quarter or something like that. Like, that is an amazing tool that you can start using in your business. And frankly, like, I don't want to build you a template. So by all means, go use a free tool. I don't care. But it doesn't interfere with, there are a lot of things that you can do as a business owner that you don't necessarily have to put a ton of time into, but I encourage people to use those things. A lot of people, so many things have come out in the last 5 years that businesses, especially those run by like millennials and older generations, they just don't want to, they don't trust it. They don't want to embrace it. And I encourage business owners, like, it's not as scary as you think. I know there's we can get super political about it and go down a rabbit hole, but it's not as difficult and intimidating. If you take just a really short time to learn about it, it can really, really help your business, and it's free and it massively helps.
Now I want to speculate. A lot of entrepreneurs probably think branding is just a logo, but I'm sure you like to argue it's a little bit deeper than that.
Yeah, what I get kind of misinterpreted as when I say, because I used to market myself as a content director, because my titles, my entire corporate career was content manager, content director, content supervisor, all of these things. So to me, content was like all of the meat and potatoes of a brand. And when I started my business, the second I said content, people thought I made social media videos. And I was like, no, I don't touch that. I don't do videography. I'm not a videographer. And they're like, oh, but you do content. So content has been kind of roped into, it is a social media, like reels and content, and people love to use the word content. Similarly, like you said, if I say like, oh, let's create a brand, people are like, well, I already have my logo. And I'm like, no, that's not what a brand is. That is what a logo is. But your brand is I would like define it as all of the digital and physical infrastructure you need to reach your customers effectively and facilitate growth. That is everything that you need. So your brand is, of course, it's a logo if you decide to have one, which you should. But it is your website. It is all of the funnels you have in the background, how you email people. It is your scheduling system, like you scheduling me to be on this podcast. That's a part of your brand. This platform is a part of your brand. Your introduction to the podcast, that's part of your brand. How we're going to push this out afterwards is part of your brand. It is really all of the infrastructure you need to reach people and convert them into customers or clients. It's so much. It's every tool that you could need. And more, your brand drives your operations. It used to be, before everything became so digital, it was almost the opposite. It was like the physicality of your business and your hiring and your production, all of that. You kind of based your brand around that. And now it's completely the opposite. The way that you operate your business comes from your value proposition.
Now, how do you position a brand as a leader in its industry? And can you give some examples?
It is, and again, I sound like a broken record, but positioning yourself as a leader comes from your brand clarity. And if you know exactly what you provide, the experience that you provide people, and the values that you stand for, and you do not deviate from that, you can expect that the majority of your competition at one point or another is going to start deviating. And if you stand firm in that, you are never going to budge. You're never going to move. I'm trying to think of brands that a lot of people may know. So, I don't know. I'll use like Taco Bell or something, or Wendy's, or any of these like fast food chains. They started offering breakfast in recent years, and they never used to be known. It took decades for any of them to start offering breakfast menu items. And I don't know off the top of my head, I'm probably guessing, but I don't know a whole lot of people that go to Taco Bell for breakfast. I don't know a whole lot of people that go to like these like chicken places for breakfast or anything still. It's still like the McDonald's, like the innovators of breakfast. Like everyone loves the McDonald's hash browns, the McGriddles, all of that kind of stuff. They were the ones that started saying like, hey, we're going to offer an additional meal. And all of these other companies realized they were missing out on market share. And now all of them offer breakfast, but they've only started offering it in the last maybe 10 years. And they still can't touch McDonald's. McDonald's breakfast is like the king of breakfast. I don't eat fast food. I'm making this totally up. But if you add something to your value proposition and you stick to it and you are the first to do it, you are going to be leading in your industry. And that is what I hear a lot of the times people say certain industries are saturated, and they're like, oh, well, I don't want to pursue that because it's saturated right now. I don't want to sell that because everyone sells that. If you can figure even the smallest thing that they are missing, or like the one thing about that customer experience that isn't exceptional, or like the one thing that you can do differently, it could be a packaging change. It could be the way you package something, the customer experience you offer, the follow-up that they get, the affiliate program you use. If you can fix one thing about a competitor and make that your innovation for your brand, you are now leading all of those people in that saturated market that sell the same thing. If you can find one differentiator, you can bump yourself up and be a leader, but you just have to do it really well and actually solve a problem, and not just for the sake of being different.
Now, I'm going to throw this one at you. Now, if someone had to completely rebrand their business in like 30 days, what would you tell them to focus on first? Let's just throw an example if someone had a podcast business.
I would say just all of the figuring out, number one, who are you talking to? And do not say everyone. Like, figure out your ideal listener that you want receiving value from your podcast, and that you, if you had to personally select someone to sit in front of you while you were putting a podcast on, who would they be? How old are they? What is their income level? What do they do as hobbies? Who do they follow on social media? What events do they attend? What do they want to be in life? All of that makes up your customer persona. If you can figure out who you're talking to, and then next step, develop your value proposition so that you blow their socks off of the value that you are providing that one person, your ideal customer. Because again, if you focus on 10% of your audience as your ideal customer, the other 90% are people that flock in and they kind of mimic your ideal customer. They may not completely, but that's okay. They're listening. They may share a couple episodes. They'll help you grow, but you have to focus on your ideal, that 10%. So figure out your customer, figure out your value proposition, and then anything that visually, I have a soft spot for websites. I think websites provide credibility. They're a platform for you to put out visually your brand elements. And the sake for the example of a podcast, they'll house your episodes. They'll direct people to your streaming platforms. They'll talk about the host. They'll talk about your guests, all of this stuff. That is a way for people. Again, today's consumers are very passive. They don't want to talk to a real person. They want to come deep dives, crime investigators, they want to go stalk you on your website. Figure that out. If you're going to invest any kind of money, it should be on your website, because you need a website to drive ads to house your emails, to house landing pages and funnels and all of these different ad elements or advertising elements. You need to have a really great website. So figure out your customer, figure out your value proposition, and then any visual elements that really hit home your value proposition, which include your website, focus on those too.
No, that's a great takeaway for a lot of listeners out there. And what's one of the best ways to market a brand without feeling like a little like really salesy?
Don't ask for their money. Don't ask for the sale. Don't ask for anything. A superb, exceptional brand, all that you need to do is provide value and talk about what you do. And your ideal customer, if you are actually talking to them, they are going to take a step forward and ask how they can work with you. They're going to ask to hire you. They're going to go look on your website for your services. They're going to click on your social media and start watching your podcast clips. You should never have to. That is the old way of marketing. When I was in college 20 years ago, like, I still have a marketing textbook in my bookshelf. That is the old way, is standing still with a megaphone and yelling for everyone to come to you. Come look at me. Come look at me. Look what I have to offer. I call it the used car salesman method. Nothing against my car salesman out there, but it's just kind of like they're asking for, consumers look at brands and they expect to be asked for money. They expect it, but as soon as you do it, it turns them off. And they're like, oh, I'm not giving you what you want. So if you are able to provide value, talk to your ideal client, talk about what you do, who you are, what your value proposition is, show evidence of how you are solving your client's problem. Or again, going back to what we were talking about, feeding into their emotion, who they want to be, who they aspire to be. If you can demonstrate that, you never have to ask for a sale. You never have to ask them to listen to your podcast. You literally are just like talking about what you do. And then you're like, oh, here's a link if you want to look at it, but I don't really care if you do. You don't say that, but that's your demeanor about what you have to offer, and they will go seek it out. That's when a brand is done really well, when your customers are seeking you and you're not asking them for anything.
No, understanding who your customer is, having a landing page, and understanding what your culture is about. I mean, and I also know like trends come and go, but I guess some of them are more harmful than good sometimes. I mean, what's one thing you wish businesses would avoid?
I would, and I say this delicately because I have had many coaches who have completely transformed the course of my business and who I am as an entrepreneur. And I also offer coaching. However, I see so often, again, what I alluded to before, is people, they get coached, they go to masterminds, they go to events, they take notes, they take courses, they get another coach, but they don't actually execute. They don't do anything with all of that information. And my biggest advice to people, to business owners, is if you are going to pursue education and building skill sets and thinking about how you can alter the trajectory of your business, I love that. Business owners should always be seeking growth and transformation and knowledge, but you have to stop being coached at one point. And it's very, very dangerous when you have a coach or you have coaches and you have a network of advisors that are telling you what to do with your business, and you're listening to everyone else and you lose sight of your value proposition. I see this happen to people so many times where I will be working with someone on their marketing and they will come to me one day and just be like, hard 180, like everything we have been doing, like it's mapped out, we're doing it, it's going great, I feel great about it, we talked about the strategy, and they come in and they're just, I want to do this instead. And it's because their close-knit circle of people who are not involved in their brand, they don't do what this person does, but they're like, oh, I heard you should do this, this person did this, oh, my coach told me you should do this. And they listen to all this feedback, and then they lose sight of their brand and they want to do that instead. And nothing, me as an advisor or a consultant or a marketing person, I can't say like, hey, I don't think that's best, because they've already made up their minds. So just be careful of coaches, be careful of advisors, and know when you need to stop being motivated and coached and learning, and you actually need to execute to figure out if that's the direction you really should be going in.
Yeah, and people like you are great to hire to just help you help the person guide their business in a way, but the person really with the business has to take those small steps and stack those small wins. Like me personally, I learn more from failure, from having a bad podcast to just not having a good guest on or something like that. And then I take away from the failure what I can take away, as in like what I can do to be better next time. And a lot of businesses out there have to understand failure is part of the process.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
people
And
like you are there to just, show us how it, keep those bumpers on.
yeah, exactly. And it's exciting when something doesn't work out. Like I've had in the last few years, I feel like especially in the last 6 months, I have had some major mishaps that have been like, okay, you can get mad about it and freak out for 30 seconds, but then it's like, if you figure out, I look at it as, okay, this would have happened eventually. Like eventually this person, I would have gotten like duped or had the rug pulled out from under me. I would have had this happen. I would have had this person take advantage of me. I would have lost this account, whatever. But I'm glad it happened now, because now I can put, like you said, bumpers in place so that now I have one more thing that's never going to happen again, and I can keep going. And you have to look at it like that, because growth and business ownership, especially, social media has very much glamorized it. Being a business owner, an entrepreneur, a coach, a influencer, it's very isolating. It's very lonely. It's not, people talk about, oh, you make your own hours, you can work from anywhere. Yeah, but guess what? My hours are most likely 16 to 18 hours a day, the majority of the week, because I'm trying to create an exceptional experience. I'm trying to make money so that I could grow and hire someone else. Like it's very much not as glamorized as people think. And those failures when you're a solo business owner can be very, very isolating. And you just got to learn to let it roll off and learn what you can from it.
No, that's so correct. And most people don't see behind the scenes, and they just think it's like, oh, it's so easy. It's like you don't understand. For me, examples like how amount of homework I do, and I guess like you, to just understand what their stories and experiences are. And just like you understand, you have to understand what the business plan is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of work, and becoming a business owner or an entrepreneur, if you don't have like ADHD to some extent, don't be a business owner. Like if you value sleep and rest time, don't be a business owner. But if you love working and growing and learning, it's the perfect role for you. It's absolutely hard. It's the hardest thing I've ever done, and it's the best thing I've ever done, was start my companies.
No, I resonate with that. And the show is called Every Day is Friday. Fridays have a special energy, whether it's freedom, excitement, or just feeling accomplishment after a long week. I would love to hear from you. What does Friday mean to you?
I don't have Fridays. I have, every day is the same for me. But yeah, Friday is a time to me. It's a time of reflection. I never want to be working for the weekend again, but it is a chance for me to look back on what did I accomplish this week and what do I need to do to move forward into a next week and be better and continue to grow. But celebrate your wins. That sounds super cheesy, but if you can't learn to celebrate the little things as a business owner, all of the big things are going to weigh down on you, and it's not going to be fun anymore. So Fridays are a time to maybe go out in the Texas sunshine and not work as hard, but just reflect on the little things that went right so that you get energy again for the next week.
No, it's a mindset that anything is possible and new beginnings. I love that. And all your information will be down in the description down below, but I want to make sure the people know where to find you. Now, where can people follow and support your work?
So I'm on Instagram at Country Bombshell, and my website is www.marketdivergent.com. And I have all my information and ways to get in touch with me there, as well as links to all my social media. But I'm always putting out videos just with tips for people, and no pressure to work with me, just valuable information. I have a lot of PDFs, a lot of ebooks and workbooks for people to download for free. So everyone's invited to go download those. And if I can help in any way, please reach out to me.
Yeah, go follow her work. She has great content, everybody. And this is your chance to leave the listeners with something powerful. Is there anything else you want to share before we wrap this up?
My biggest message and my biggest thing that I teach my clients is to stop overcomplicating your brands. Just keep it simple and keep it true to who you are. I feel like this world takes, in every aspect, not just business, this world tries to take autonomy and authenticity away. And that is what good, long-standing, long-term businesses are built on, is autonomy and just staying true to who you are. So I encourage everyone, even if they're looking at my business and saying, oh, whoa, her videos are great, her content's great. I don't know how to do that. I hire people to do my videos for me. And it's okay. It's okay to admit you don't know how to do something yet, but don't fall into the trap of pretending that you're something you're not, or pretending you know something you don't, just to keep up with everyone. Just be yourself, and the right people will come find you.
I know the listeners got a lot of value out of this. It's been an amazing conversation. I appreciate you being here. Thank you for sharing your stories and experiences.
Thank you so much for having me. This was really fun. I appreciate it.
And to the listeners, stay tuned for more amazing stories like this on Every Day is Friday podcast. If you enjoyed this, make sure to follow, share, and keep Every Day is Friday mindset going. Until next time, stay inspired and make every day feel like Friday. Till next time, everybody.